Now, yesterday may have been the worst day to be President Trump. Now, there's, of course, recently a disastrous poll that came out showing him with a 37% approval rating. Now, that is the lowest of any president in history at this point during a term. There have been presidents that have gotten lower. Of course, you had George W. Bush, who basically it was in the low 20s. Disaster. Complete disaster. Now, that was like a few years into his term. I believe that was 7 years into his term. So it was pretty disastrous as he was leaving office. Donald Trump just entered office. He's supposed to have somewhere around at least a 50 or a 60% approval rating. No, 37. Horrible. Not only that, you had Trump falling 220 spots in the Forbes billionaires list. Now, me, regular people, we don't give a shit about the Forbes list. Okay, I don't care who the richest assholes are in America. And they're not assholes, I realize that. I don't care. Nobody cares. But you know who cares? Donald Trump cares. And he dropped 220 spots, making him, of course, not as rich as what he claims to be. And that's one thing Donald Trump can't stand, is being told you are not as rich as this person. All right. Now, you also had yesterday the leaks, them talking about the leaks, and FBI Director James Comey. Now, Comey yesterday, and we talked about this, basically killed his claim that Trump was wiretapped by President Obama. Ooh. Also revealed that he was under investigation since July for possible ties to Vladimir Putin, and that they're investigating those ties. Very interesting. So altogether, for Donald Trump, if you're Trump, you had a very, very bad day. So, of course, how does Donald Trump respond? In pure Trumpian fashion, of course, taking to Twitter to say outrageous and untrue things. Things like, oh, fake news. The Comey stuff, fake news, no evidence. Yeah, okay, you're right. There is no evidence. There's no evidence now. That doesn't mean that the evidence doesn't exist, that there are ties between Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump. You know why? You know what you do when you think that something is happening, but you don't have the evidence? You do an investigation to find that evidence. Pretty simple. So you've got that reaction from Trump, going to Twitter, saying these outrageous things, tweeting them out. And of course, afterwards, you have surrogates that go out and have to defend those tweets. Now, that brings me to the New York Times. Now, in a piece written yesterday by Glenn Thrush and Maggie Haberman, that basically points out how Trump's aides are already tired of putting out these fires caused by Donald Trump's need to tweet. This is great. Now, Mr. Trump's allies have begun to wonder if his need for self-expression, often on social media, will exceed his instinct for self-preservation, with disastrous results both for the president and for a party whose fate is now tightly tied to his. Awesome. Now, the tweets make it much more difficult for us as we try to build a case against these leakers, said Representative Peter King. Now, he also says, quote, we always have to be answering questions about the tweets. It puts us on defense all the time when we could be building a case for the president. If Donald Trump would just put down the phone and stop tweeting at everybody, then we could actually make a case. But no, we're stuck putting out his damn Twitter fires all the time, and we're getting a little tired of it. So that's Peter King. Now back to the article. Mr. Trump's fixation on fighting is undermining his credibility at a time when he needs to toggle from go-it-alone executive action to collaborative congressional action and on ambitious healthcare budget and infrastructure legislation. Now, King, of course, isn't the only person who's troubled by Donald Trump's penchant for tweeting out ridiculous things. You also have Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. Now, he told the Washington Examiner last month, quote, I don't always like what the president is saying. I do think he frequently, by wading into other matters, takes attention away from the very substantial things we're already accomplishing. Interesting. And actually, Mitch McConnell, I agree with you 100%. Let's talk about more about your healthcare plan. Let's talk about how your budget gives more to rich people while screwing over poor people and the most vulnerable. Please. The American people would love to know how you justify things like cutting Meals on Wheels to give more tax breaks to wealthy businesses, and how you just absolutely love giving more and more corporate welfare instead of, I don't know, helping regular human beings. But anyway, back to the article. Now, over the past several weeks, Republicans in Congress and members of their staffs have privately complained that Mr. Trump's Twitter comment on March 4th, the one where he called President Barack Obama sick and suggested that the former president had ordered a tap, misspelled, on his phone, had done more to undermine anything he's done as president because it called into question his seriousness about governing. I would also add that everything that he has said has been demonstrably untrue. Untrue. Now, the problem, from the perspective of Mr. Trump's beleaguered political fire brigade, is that the president insists on dealing with crises by creating new ones. So surrogates, repeated talking points the president himself ignores, say they often feel like human shields. Well, that's because they are. Notice how Donald Trump never takes personal responsibility. Now, whatever happens, it's somebody else's fault. Obama tapped my phones. The illegals, they voted, they made me lose the popular vote. On and on and on. And now it's Comey. Goddamn Comey. Goddamn FBI. The CIA is coming after me. It's everybody else's fault except for his own. For his poll numbers. Or for, whatever crisis he's facing at the moment. It's always somebody else's fault. It's never mine. He never takes personal responsibility. And that's because, of course, he believes that he could do no wrong. It's always somebody else's fault. And, of course, when Donald Trump sends out people to do his propaganda, which almost ends up being wrong, well, they get kind of angry. People like Sean Spicer. Now, the article continues. Within the White House, a number of Mr. Trump's advisors, including the press secretary, Sean Spicer, who has himself repeated unsubstantiated claims of British spying on Mr. Trump, have told allies that Mr. Trump's Twitter habits are making their jobs harder, said administration officials interviewed over the past week. Now think about that. You are less than 100 days into the Trump presidency, and the lies continue to get crazier and crazier as we go. And the aides are already privately saying, hey man, we are so tired of having to put out Donald Trump's fires. We're sick of it. We're tired of it. And so what does he do with these latest fires? He pours more gasoline on them. The president, a proponent of do-it-yourself crises communication with boundless self-confidence in his capacity to shape the story, seems determined to, quote, hug his Russian hand grenade. This is from the New York Times. I love that. Now, people close to the president say Mr. Trump's Twitter torrent had less to do with fact, strategy, or tactic than a sense of persecution bordering on faith. He simply believes that he has been bugged in some way by someone, and that evidence will soon appear to back him up. In fact, remember, that's what he told Christopher Ruddy, his friend and CEO of Newsmax. Now, they were on the golf course, and he's like, they'll find the evidence that I was bugged. That somebody bugged me. It's Obama, GCHQ, somebody did it. Somebody did it. The Democrats, Hillary Clinton bugged me. Somebody. And they will find evidence that I was wiretapped. But we don't know. You don't have any evidence. And besides, you can go and ask someone. You're the president of the United States. You're allowed to get that. You could just ask them. In fact, you had a Senate testimony yesterday of James Comey saying, no, we don't have evidence of any wiretap. Interesting. But see, the thing is, if it doesn't suit his narrative, he will not believe it. In fact, people close to him have said that over the last several weeks, the president has become increasingly frustrated at his inability to control the narrative of the presidency after being able to dominate the political discourse or divert criticism by launching one of his signature attacks over Twitter. Now, I think maybe I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Twitter, Mr. Trump told Tucker Carlson of Fox News last week. So he owes a lot of what he believes that Twitter was one of the main instruments that propelled him to the presidency. Now, the thing is that now that he's president, a lot of people don't care what he's tweeting. In fact, they don't want him to tweet. They're like, okay, good, you're president now. Stop with the tweeting. Stop with the tweeting and actually do your job. That's what we elected you to do. We want you to do these things. So shut up, get off Twitter, stop beefing with Snoop Dogg and Bow Wow, and actually do your fucking job. Well, he doesn't want to do that. See, he notices his presidency has gone on, Twitter has become less and less effective. In fact, the Times notes that focus groups and polls conducted by two Democratic strategists, okay, they're Democratic strategists, let's get that out of the way, this month have shown that many voters, even those who do support Mr. Trump, have grown weary of his tweets as president. Fox News poll last week showed more than 35% of Trump voters, only 35, approve of his Twitter habits, and that only 16% of his supporters, the most hardcore, approve of his Twitter habits. They're saying, get off Twitter, do your job. 32% said they wish he would be more careful with his feed. Thing is, you voted for this. This is who he is. This is what you get. You got to understand, he's not going to get more presidential. That's never been in his playbook. He doesn't know how to be presidential. Unfortunately, that's pure Trump. What you see is what you get. In fact, Jeff Guerin, a veteran Democratic pollster who conducted this survey, said, quote, his tweeting defines him and not in a good way. Voters not only think that Trump's use of Twitter is unpresidential, they also see the tone and content of his tweets as an indication that he is lacking in self-control. You don't say. Look, what have I been telling you during the election? What did I tell you? This guy is not presidential. He's a man-child. Over and over again. Now, the question of the AIDS is, why haven't you taken his phone privileges away? You're going to have to do it. You're going to have to take the Twitter away if you want him to stop tweeting. Hey, look, maybe they did try. Maybe they were very unsuccessful, or maybe they're scared. Maybe they don't want to try. But this is one of the many reasons that I say the Trump White House right now is unsustainable. There's going to be a point where something breaks. How that's going to play out is anybody's guess at this point. But see, Trump isn't going to stop being Trump. So if you're upset at what he's doing now and you voted for him and you really enjoyed it, you loved it when he was campaigning, when he was campaigning. Well, what's going on now and things not getting done? Well, that's your fault. Don't say we didn't warn you, because that's exactly what we did. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.